and welcome back to Spiritual Midwife. My name is Claire Attio. I'm so grateful to have you here as we continue our deep dive into inner child healing. Over the past episodes, we have explored wounds like guilt, fear, abandonment, rejection. Today, we're turning our attention to an issue that is massive yet widely overlooked: unmet emotional needs in childhood. Unlike physical neglect or overt trauma, unmet emotional needs often goes unrecognized, even though they shape the way we show up in the world as adults. Outside the field of trauma healing and psychology, this topic isn't really widely spoken about, yet it is one of the most crucial aspects of our development. If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, emotionally disconnected, or struggling with self-worth, this episode is for you. Today we'll break down what unmet emotional needs look like, how they impact us as adults, and powerful ways to heal and reclaim our wholeness. Welcome to Spiritual Midwife, the podcast that tenderly guides you through the transformative journey of spiritual awakening and personal development towards the ultimate destination of soul sovereignty. I'm Claire Attio, a medicine woman and dedicated guide to the profound realm of soul sovereignty, and you are listening to Spiritual Midwife. So what are unmet emotional needs? When we talk about unmet emotional needs, we're referring to the deep, unspoken requirements every child has to feel loved, valued, and emotionally safe. Unlike physical needs like food, shelter, clothing, emotional needs are subtle, yet just as essential. And they include feeling seen, heard, and understood, being validated in the emotions that they're feeling and their experiences, receiving constant love and affection, experiencing emotional safety and security, being encouraged to express their feelings without fear or repercussions, having caregivers who respond with empathy and patience. When these needs aren't met, not necessarily due to neglect or bad parenting, but often due to societal conditioning, generational patterning, or emotional unavailability, it leaves a void within us that follows us into adulthood. A child who grows up with unmet emotional needs learns to adapt, usually in ways that become ingrained patterns in childhood. Here's how these unmet needs may manifest: people-pleasing, seeking external validation to feel worthy, emotional suppression, struggling to express feelings or feeling guilty for having those emotions, fear of vulnerability, difficulty in opening up or trusting others, self-worth issues, feeling unlovable, not enough, or constantly needing to prove self-worth, the worth of their existence. Difficulty setting boundaries, allowing others to overstep because love was always conditional. avoidance or detachment, disconnecting from emotions to avoid rejection or disappointment. Many of us assume these are simply personality traits, but they are actually coping mechanisms developed to survive childhood environments that did not fully meet our emotional needs. And despite being one of the biggest factors in emotional well-being, education around unmet emotional needs is nearly non-existent in mainstream conversations. We are taught about financial success, career paths, and even physical health. But very few people are ever taught how to meet their own emotional needs, let alone recognize the impact of unmet ones. This isn't just about individual healing. This is about breaking generational cycles. If we don't address these wounds, they get passed down to the next generation, continuing the cycle of emotional dysfunction, disconnection. And it's time for this knowledge to become mainstream, accessible and widely understood so that healing can take place at a collective level. The good news is healing is possible. While we can't change the past, we can take responsibility for learning to meet our own needs now. Begin by asking yourself, what emotional needs were not met in my childhood? How do these unmet needs show up in my relationships, self-worth, and behaviour? Bringing awareness to these patterns is the first step of that healing journey. Since these needs weren't met in childhood, we now have the power to meet them ourselves. This is why inner child healing is so powerful. We start reparenting, becoming the loving, present caregiver your inner child needed. And you can do that by speaking to your inner child daily. I see you, I hear you, I love you, you are enough. Whatever terminology you need to use that feels congruent to you, that your self, when you listen to it, it feels genuine, it feels real, it feels true, and give that to your inner child. The phrases that I would use with my inner child will be different from the phrases you would use. We all have different life experiences. We all use language in different ways. Keep that in mind. Whenever you're doing any self-healing or self-development or self-help, always use a language that resonates with you. Use words that resonate with you, because when they resonate, that increases the vibration and that increases the potency of the healing taking place. Provide yourself with the emotional validation you never receive, and actively meet your own needs by prioritizing self-care, emotional expression. And allow yourself to play. Allow yourself to play. There are too many adults that walk this planet that have forgotten how to play. And more so, forgotten how to smile, forgotten how to enjoy life, forgotten how to be silly. That's childlike. Yeah, because we're innately children. We are on this planet, and when even as grown adults in the whole spectrum of the universe, we are still children, learning, growing, expanding, evolving. Unmet emotional needs don't just affect our minds. Let's keep that clear. They are stored in the nervous system. And when we're doing healing, it requires engaging in practices that help regulate and release that emotional stagnation that is built up. Somatic healing, that breath work, movement, or sound therapy to help us release that stored emotional pain is a massive game changer. Expressive practices like journaling or art therapy, and it doesn't even have to be art therapy, it can be just art. Losing yourself in colouring. I love colouring mandalas, and I just lose myself, and so much healing and so much joy and so much raising of the vibrations can exist within that. Or speaking out loud to process those emotions. Have a dear friend that you converse with, that you talk about things that you've never talked about before, that you've stuffed down and you've kept hidden. Make sure that they're trustworthy before doing so. But when we speak things aloud, we take them away from those spinning plates in our minds. It's out there. And because it's out there, there's a greater expanse of space, and so we can process them. And self-soothing, developing calming rituals that offer emotional safety for you. One of my rituals is walking in the woods, singing in the woods. I find it both healing and nurturing and self-soothing. So I'm bringing all those different aspects into my being just for an hour. But that hour lasts for the week. So find yourself a practice where you can nurture yourself in a way that feels and resonates with you. It feels congruent, it resonates with you. And you're not just doing it because some person on a podcast told you to do it and that's what you need to do to heal your inner child. You do it because you feel inspired to do it, and by doing it you feel lighter, brighter, happier. Many with unmet emotional needs struggle with overgiving or seeking validation. And learning to set and maintain boundaries is key. It's about saying no without guilt, recognizing when you're seeking external validation rather than giving yourself internal reassurance, and surrounding yourself with emotionally healthy individuals. This all takes practice. It's a journey. Like riding a bike, when you first start to learn to ride, you're inevitably going to fall off. You're inevitably going to scrape your knee. But you don't give up. You get back on. You try again. And when it comes to setting and learning to set healthy boundaries for ourselves, that is exactly what we need to do. We need to try out different ways of doing it. And some will work and some won't. And that's okay. For those whose unmet emotional needs have led to deep, deep wounds, seek therapy, seek coaching, or seek an energy healer. Having that support is a powerful game changer to your healing journey, because you will only need, or you should, if you go to somebody who is bona fide, who is ethical, you should only need a few sessions. You may want to go because you enjoy it, but you will only need a few sessions before you're able to then start applying those self-healing techniques yourself. If you choose to keep going back because you enjoy it, all well and good. But the key factor there when you're seeking the support of a professional is to know that it shouldn't be a long, drawn-out process. You should be getting results and feeling a lift after the first session. You may not have dealt with everything, but you will feel uplifted you will have had at least one major aha moment within that first session. If you don't, then possibly they're not the correct healer for you. It doesn't mean that they're not doing their job properly. It just means it's possibly not the correct healer for you. And finally, healing unmet emotional needs. Please remember, it's a process. It's a process of reclaiming yourself. It's about recognizing that the absence of emotional validation in childhood does not mean you are not worthy of love. So many build that perception of themselves. What it means is that the caregivers in your life as a child weren't able to meet their own needs, let alone yours. And now it's your opportunity. Now you have the power to meet those needs for yourself and for future generations. Take a moment to reflect. What are the emotional needs I have ignored? How can I begin to meet them today? And always, please remember, healing is not about blaming, but empowering. We empower ourselves to heal things that didn't occur or did occur in the past that we cannot change. You, me, we have the ability to rewrite our stories, to meet ourselves with love, and to step into the fullness of who we truly are. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves and your inner child. You are deserving of all the love and emotional nourishment this world can offer you. You have been listening to Spiritual Midwife, signing off for now.